the Makupula family, ndibulise leadership yombutho omkhulu usihlalo nankwenkene kwesikhokhele sonke. Also acknowledge the leadership of the alliance led by the secretary of the party. Acknowledge my colleagues from cabinet, the deputy minister, and KUPS DM Corner. I'm sure you'll be happy to see him here. Premier, let me acknowledge you, the MECs in the province, Speaker, MPs, MPLs, and the councillors, senior government officials present here, members of the media, distinguished guests, comrades, and friends, and also say to KUPS, our colleagues from provinces are here to also to bid you farewell. So Program Director, comrades and friends, Comrade Makupula has shuffled off his mortal coil. As his spirit has departed, we gather here to return his remains to the ground. As the Bible says, Genesis 3, verse 19, for dust you are, and dust you will return. Program Director, on behalf of government and the basic education sector, as a people of South Africa, we want to start off by sending our deepest and most heartfelt condolences to the Makupula family. Equally, we send our deepest sympathies to his friends, but in particular to people of the Eastern Cape, the province he loved and adored and cherished the people of this province. We also hasten indeed to thank you very much, people in the province, but also the family, for having lent us your finest son. Comrade Makupula was indeed one of a kind, and we all agree that we are poorer without him. However, the Makupula family, the children, the wife, the sibling, the sister, I think you must take solace in the fact that your loss is shared across the length and breadth of our beautiful land. As it is to be expected, we are all left reeling from shock and sadness that always accompanies bereavement. As we know, tomorrow is not promised to young and old, but Comrade Makupula ran his race, and today we return him whence he came from. And I know, as a person that we shared lots of information and advice about our common disease, cancer, he's at peace and he suffers no more. Even this I know is a little solace to his wife and children, to his extended family, and to comrades alike. But to all friends, comrades, and family, we say, to death, not to be proud, but we know that this is one short sleep past, and we wake to eternal life. If I have to speak about Comrade Makupula, because he's one of the MECs that have served with over a long period of time, and I can say there are special things that stood out with this comrade, and throughout, we all have been confirming that. His gentleness and demeanor, that drew to him. He was one of his own. As colleagues would have had lots of difficulties in the work that we do, but Makupula taught me that if I have to work with him, and that's what I learned from Makupula. He had no airs and grace about him. And in his character, he was a true gentleman. As I said, there were difficult times during intervention, but without any hassle, and that's what I learned also from this comrade. It didn't matter how high he scaled in life, but he remained humble. But what also stood out for me with Makupula, he was a teacher to the core. He would say, Mom Angie, I am a teacher by profession. That's what my parents trained me for. And no one can take that away from me. And I really appreciated the music that played, that is being sung at his funeral, because Makupula enjoyed everything that education or the teaching profession gave. He enjoyed choral music. And I was complaining to the speaker, Premier, when we go to Saske, kuyo yonke into siyazi Eastern Cape is awusigijimisa. The cabs are coming here. We have what into bayenza national. Lento bayenza yona. They'll make you run. Kodwa ke zikhona intanga zabo eKZN. Zibalyanka enough nazo. So we just know the competition is going to be between KZN and the Eastern Cape. And Makupula loved anything that had to do with education. He loved the music, he loved the teaching, he loved the sports. He just ate, dreamt education at all times. To drive point home about Comrade Makupula's humanity, in 2007, when he was elected, when he was also the Daily Dispatch had all sorts of things about him and us in the education sector. And says, I didn't choose to be a teacher. I didn't choose to be an MEC. All I am a teacher. And he really was a teacher through and through. I really want to say, in the education sector in the country, with the MECs that are accompanying us here, and the DGs of the different provinces, I want to say to Comrade Makupula, goodbye, dear brother, because that's what he had been. As I said, because of the time we served together with Comrade Makupula, we shared conversations even beyond work. I remember when I was diagnosed with cancer in 2012, I opened up to colleagues and I got lots of support from them. When he was diagnosed with cancer, I was amongst the first people he told, say, Mama Angie, and we used to share advices. We would laugh about it. He will phone me in the middle of the night and says, hey, Mama Angie, now about Dr. Putuma, you know what about advisor ngayo yonke into. Abana advisor nango Dr. Putuma bathi nisele lento. Dithi, hey, Kups, kakume kancinci sijonga ogqirha. Uzawuzisele ezimbiza mva, otherwise izakugqiba ezinto zakuthi, so masijonge into yogqirha. But what also stood out for me with Comrade Makupula, he served the people of this country with integrity and ethical leadership. He was a very dedicated and hard-working public servant. He was committed to turning the basic education system around in the Eastern Cape. I don't remember even on a single day, Premier, when I had, because every year we get these quarterly reports from monitoring. I don't remember even one single event where I had to phone Makupula and I never had to get into those difficult conversations with him. I never had to get into a difficult conversation with Makupula to say, that's what he will do, I think. If ever as he said, I don't remember having to say, what was him dancing about interviewing. I never had to. He really led with integrity and with ethical leadership. We fought about work, but we fought with respect and integrity. And that's what I will miss Makupula. Indeed, as I say, we served with him over a long period in the education sector. And as his CV says, in the 2017 elections, the Eastern Cape was the highest improved province. Why it remained at the bottom? Because it came from a very long base. But through his leadership, his steady hand, his focus, his humility, with his team, they had reached a stage, and I was saying even to Premier, that Eastern Cape has turned the corner. Give them 5 years, they're going to be one of the best systems, because what they had put in place and consistently do correctly, the province is out of the woods. It's really getting its act together and it's moving in the right direction under Makupula's leadership. As I say, in 2017, it scored the highest improvement. And what we'll miss as a sector, it's his passion for education. And it is incredibly sad that he didn't live long enough to reap the fruits of his labor. Because there are lots of things that the province had put in place, which is not only benefiting the province, but is benefiting the sector broadly. One of the most exciting programs that we will launch, even in his absence, is the reading programs, the readers that they had developed in the province. It's the first in the country and the first in the sector. And we had agreed with COOPS that we will, being the gentleman that he is, use those readers nationally for all provinces where Xhosa is being taught, and we'll use the model for all other languages. And we had agreed on that. What they have done as a province with his team, because everybody complains, and you all complain that our children don't read at the appropriate level, but it's a question of what do they read, and because there are no readers in African languages, which is what they're supposed to start off with. And Makupula didn't sit back and said, they worked with his team, identified the correct stories, which have the correct message that we want for our kids. They've compiled it, they have a plan, it's going to be distributed next year, and it is going to be shared nationally. And that's the biggest contribution that I think in my mind the legacy of Makupula is around, because it's the first and one of the most important initiatives for the sector that has been led by this province and under his leadership. And I can say a number of things that, besides the music, that it's the best in the province, they're also leading in terms of ICT tools for educators. Eastern Cape is leading. Comrade Makupula loved his province, loved his country. I can share the secret that every time we're about uslalo, must copy results, premier, mfundi, kakukhayikele ihashe esifubeni. Ndiyazi ke ufuna uba ndimpe i-results ngakakhutshwa ke. Sefanda ndikhatshwe athi make likhabe nawe ihashe apha esifubeni. Ndithi uthi ufuna ntoni nobhala? Ndizawuzikhabisa ngehashi nje kanti ihashe ifanele ikhabe accidentally. Uthini into? Ndithi uyazi ufuna ukwazi uba Eastern Cape ithini. Into qha uyifunda akho hashe ufuna ilini khaba ufuna ukuthi Eastern Cape ithini before school results. And Comrade Makupula really loved his province. He will be very sad when Eastern Cape is not performing well. But he will really celebrate when Eastern Cape does well. He really loved his province. Amongst other things that Comrade Makupula will do, I found him to say, hey, Eastern Cape surprise up. Nelimpopo surprise. Nipa emsile but nipa phezulu. Athi njani ngomfundi sixalele sis enjithini into. We've analyzed the top 500 schools in the country which serve poor Africans, poor people who are Africans in rural and in townships. Eastern Cape and Limpopo are leading as the best provinces that are able to serve the poor more than these affluent provinces which are top. So it's one thing that, and Makupula will celebrate and be very happy about it. And Comrade Makupula, during the week I heard the Democratic Party saying he's one person who could listen. He really could listen because of his humility. And would always put the interests of education first. Umalusi said he tried his utmost to make a difference from a field. And he was indeed a very insightful and knowledgeable MEC who was passionate about education. And some of us who had an opportunity to work with him know this to be true. Some of us may know that Makupula was a committed communist till the end. So no balonga zame nokunibhudisa pha kwi-meetings ze-CEM sinengxaki ye-education thi nansi ingxaki apha nansi solution ayisebenzi sithini athi hayi makudithi uzandibhudisa Sufi, don't go to that Marxist, and I state into a lapa, Yabantwana betu, abahlulekayo nesolution engasebenzi. So he really all the time, Peter, funi solution phakwe emakhomesi ngithi awuzanibhudisa ngoku maqala masithethe ngoku can't quote philosopher ye education sike silungise le ngxaki ye education khawukume ngoMarx ngoku and he really was all the time a communist to the end. He was always preoccupied with the nervous conditions of the poor and downtrodden, the lumpen proletariat as it were. He was always concerned about the poverty of the child, the subjugation of women and girl children, and the tyranny exerted by the bourgeoisie over the working class. Chair, I will even imagine what would have happened in the next meeting when we would again have to discuss what is very close, I think, to our heart around the girl children, the Cheryl Zondi case. And I know with him we would have agreed that any sex by an educator for a minor is a rape. I found TV. He rape her. Any grooming of a girl child is not any willful. Adults should know that any grooming of a young child is a criminal offense, and therefore, girl children should not be subjected to immediate and the second form of rape by persecuting them in public. And I know we would have agreed, no Makupula, about what is our role, or how do we strengthen our programs to empower the girl child to make sure that they are not victims of patriarchy and its cruel tendencies. And I know we're going to agree, no Makupula, and I know he was going to be leading the discussion. So we're here today, left Puara, as Makupula has departed. We can say without any contradiction, Comrade Makupula, that you were a true servant of the people. To many, you were a teacher, a communist, a political educator, a mentor, a friend, but above all, until the end, you were a disciplined cadre of the left forces of our country. We owe it to Comrade Makupula and his generation to be on the right side of history through unapologetically continuing to champion the values and principles that he lived and died for. Our task as revolutionaries and as educationists is to take the mile towards the economic freedom, the emancipation of women, the liberation of the girl child in our lifetime. And I want to say goodbye to my friend and Comrade Makupula, and I know that good friends never say goodbye. But well, there's a goodbye. We want to say to you, Comrade Makupula, goodbye to a teacher, goodbye to a comrade, goodbye to a philosopher, to a thinker, and say goodbye to a great, humble servant and a soldier of our country. And again to his family, sibulela kakhulu for having shared this great son. And abantwana basendlini, tateni beliqhawe bantwana bami, sibulela kakhulu ukuthi we really shared. And I want to thank you very much for sharing, and thank you very much, Premier.